Hello students, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome to my channel. This is a very important class on African novelists and today we will talk about Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. But before starting, I want to give you a brief introduction about myself. My name is Vrishti Mukherjee. I have qualified NTA UGC NET exam in English literature 4 times and have also qualified West Bengal state examination. I have 3 years of teaching experience. Moreover, I have also taught in NPTEL online course from IIT Madras 3 times. So that is all about myself. Good evening, Rajkishore. Good evening, Elon Musk. Good evening, Papdi and Ektaba. Welcome. This is the link of my Telegram channel. The link is also given in the description box. So those of you who have not joined yet, please join to get notification of all important classes. And also please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel so that many more new learners can join. These are the timings of your classes Monday to Friday at 8:30 p.m. Saturday, Sunday off. So don't forget to join me live. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get notification. Okay, so let's start. First of all, biographical details of Chimamanda Adichie. In yesterday's class, we have also discussed a female African novelist that was Nadine Gordimer, and in today's class, we will talk about Chimamanda Adichie. So, first of all, start with her biographical details. She was born in Engu in Nigeria on 15 September 1977. Her father name was James Adichie. He was a professor of statistics at University of Nigeria, and her mother was the first female registrar of the university. So this was a very great achievement. Chimamanda Adichie studied medicine at the University of Nigeria and later she edited the magazine Compass. He edited the magazine named Compass. ठीक है तो ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज है कि शी एडिटेड द मैगजीन नेम्ड द कॉम्पस. She was married to a Nigerian doctor and she was very famous for this TED talk, The Danger of a Single Story. This is available on YouTube also. You can directly search by the title, The Danger of a Single Story. It is beautifully told and expressed by Chimamanda Adichie. तो ये एक पब्लिक डिस्कशन है तो आप जरूर इसको सुन लेना, ठीक है, जब टाइम मिलेगा. In America, she is confronted with issues of race and skin color and she protests against them. So अफ्रीकन नॉवेल्स को जब भी हम पढ़ते हैं एक इश्यूज बहुत कॉमन होता है जो कि है racial prejudices, racial discrimination and the revolt of African people against that. Nadine Gordimer had also done the same. We have learned in yesterday's class, and Chimamanda Adichie is also doing the same. And she was greatly influenced by Chinua Achebe. Greatly influenced by Chinua Achebe. Okay, so let's start discussing her novels. First important novel, Purple Hibiscus, published in 2003. Purple Hibiscus. तो इस नॉवल के अंदर क्या है? It was her debut novel. And very importantly, Purple Hibiscus begins with a quote from Things Fall Apart. This clearly indicates how Adichie was greatly inspired by Chinua Achebe. So the main character is Kambili Achike. She is the 15-year-old narrator. Okay, not she, he is a male character. Kambili Achike, he is the 15-year-old narrator and he talks about the details and the relationships inside his family. The family is dominated by her strict Catholic father Eugene. He is a female character, Kambili Achike. So her family was dominated by her strict Catholic father Eugene. He is abusive, beats his wife Beatrice. Okay. तो ये एक उस टाइम में एक ट्रेडिशन ही चल रहा था कि द मैन बीट्स द वीमेन which we have also found in Achibi's novel Things Fall Apart, when where Okonkwo beats his wife regularly. तो इस टाइप का सिचुएशन ट्राइबल कल्चर में उस टाइम में था. तो इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट थिंग. So Kambili is also very much oppressed during her childhood because her father is an abusive person. Kambili and his brother Jaja are sent to the house of her aunt Ifioma. Ifioma is the name of her aunt. They are sent to the house of her aunt Ifioma. This house is in sheer contrast to Kambili's home. So basically, Kambili, as a narrator, she is narrating her experiences, different experiences in her own family and at the same time in her aunt's house. So her auntie is much more liberal, auntie and uncle are much more liberal. Kambili falls in love with a priest, Father Amedi, with a priest जिसका नाम है Father Amadi. Then what happens that in Kambili's family, Beatrice finally poisons Eugene, Kambili's father, but Jaja takes the blame on himself and is sent to prison. Good evening, Pooja, welcome. Good evening, Ved Vyasji, welcome. Good evening, Elena, welcome. Okay. So, Beatrice poisons Eugene, but Jaja takes the blame on himself and is sent to prison. Jaja means Kambili's brother. ठीक है, तो ये एक ट्रेजेडी उसके घर में हो जाते हैं एंड इट इज द sheer protest, final protest of a woman, because Beatrice has endured a lot of torture and finally she cannot control herself. She has killed her husband. The novel ends with Kambili as an 18-year-old girl. Jaja is about to be released and Beatrice is psychologically deteriorated. The Purple Hibiscus is more psychological novel and it is talking about a disturbing family relationship and how it affects the childhood of a young girl, of an adolescent girl. It is talking about that and Kambili narrates her own experience inside her own family. तो फाइनली इसी कंडीशन में नॉवेल एंड होता है कि Kambili is now an adult. Her mother is psychologically deteriorated after that murder and Jaja is about to be released from prison because he has done nothing. Okay, चलो. तो ये बात है about this novel Purple Hibiscus is her first important novel. Okay. नेक्स्ट नॉवेल पर हम आते हैं हाफ ऑफ अ येलो सन. दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट नॉवेल पब्लिश्ड इन 2006. हाफ ऑफ अ येलो सन. तो इस नॉवेल में क्या है, सेटिंग है बायोफ्रॉन वॉर के टाइम में. तो ये जरूर याद रखना कि इट इज अ हिस्टोरिकल नॉवेल, सेटिंग इज इन बायोफ्रॉन वॉर एंड द मेन कैरेक्टर का नाम है उगुयू. ही इज अ 13-year-old boy belonging to the Igbo community. 13-year-old boy belonging to the Igbo community. He goes to work to a professor's house named Odenigbo. Okay, so Igbo community, remember जो चिनो आचिबे ने यूज किया था, तो सेम कम्युनिटी की बात यहाँ पर हो रहा है. Ugyu is a young boy and he goes to work to a professor's house named Odenigbo. Now the professor's beloved Olanna is a businessman's daughter. Olanna belongs to a very high class family. Odenigbo's friend Richard has a relationship with Olanna's sister Kaimen. So it is talking about a complex relationship inside a particular family, or not only family but inside the Igbo community. तो डिफरेंट रिलेशनशिप्स की बात हो रही है कि प्रोफेसर ओडेनिग्बो की जो बिलावेड है ओलाना, ओलाना सिस्टर हैज a relationship with Richard. Odenigbo's mother does not like Olanna and plans to take revenge on her. Now Olanna realizes that Odenigbo's mother is planning something wrong against her, so she takes shelter at her uncle's house. She takes shelter at her uncle's house. Uncle and auntie are murdered because of giving shelter to Olanna. Now Olanna feels very helpless. She escapes and meets a woman who is carrying severed heads of the children. This is a very macabre image. मैकाबर इमेज जो सबसे ज्यादा यूज किया था जॉन वेबस्टर. in his tragedies. Macabre tragedies हम कहते हैं. तो macabre imagery उन्होंने use किया. She escapes and meets a woman who is carrying severed heads of the children. Ugyo falls in love with a girl and is forced to join the army. Ugyo falls in love with a girl and is forced to join the army. Later, what happens? He participates in the gang rape of a girl. This is very shocking incident that Ugyu is not so much violent, but he actually compels to participate in that gang rape. Now, Kaimen finds her children starving in refugee camp. काइमेन कौन है? हमने अभी देखा कि ओलाना सिस्टर. तो काइमेन इज फाइनली आफ्टर द वॉर जो रिफ्यूजी प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट हुआ था, तो काइमेन sees that her children are starving in refugee camp. She crosses the border in search of food, but the food is missing. She is also missing. Ugyu's sister is gang raped by a group of soldiers. Odenigbo's mother convinces a servant girl Amala to seduce him. ठीक है. तो Odenigbo's mother is desperately planning to marry her child, her young man. तो वो एक सर्वेंट गर्ल को seduce करने के लिए कहते हैं, and it is successful. Amala is impregnated with Odenigbo's child. Knowing that Olanna gets drunk and seduces Richard, Olanna, when realizes that Odenigbo is the father of someone else's child, Olanna gets drunk, and as a part of her revenge strategy, she seduces Richard. At last, Odenigbo and Olanna adopt Amala's child Chimaka with the nickname Baby. Baby is the nickname of that child, Chimaka. Amala finally dies. Uggu reads a book at the end. The world was silent when we died. तो इससे नॉवेल एंड होता है. किनु आचेबी के नॉवेल में भी देखो थिंग्स फॉल अपार्ट में. In the last part, we have found a book written by the district commissioner. बुक का नाम क्या था? The Pacification of the Primitive Tribes of Lower Niger. तो यहाँ पर भी एक बुक से नॉवेल एंड होता है कि the world was silent when we died. Ugyu reads the book at the end. So this is about Half of a Yellow Sun. Yes, absolutely. The chaotic life of African people after colonialism. And also it talks about some of the dark sides of tribal culture, and also the superstitions, prejudices inside inside different community, not only Igbo community. तो वो भी reflect करते हैं. Yes, absolutely. Good evening, Tina. Welcome. चलो, तो ये था about this particular novel, Half of a Yellow Sun. So many characters are there, definitely, but I have tried to simplify it in a best possible way. In the best possible way. चलो, next work पर आते हैं. Americana, published very recently in 2013. Americana. So Americana is a very important work because for this novel, this is important. Adichie won National Book Critics Circle Award for Fiction in 2030. तो जितने भी अवार्ड विनिंग वर्क्स होते हैं वो हमेशा इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. तो बस आप नेम याद रखना कि इस नॉवेल की वजह से उनको अवार्ड मिला था. तो इसमें मेन कैरेक्टर कौन है? नाइजीरिया इज ऑलवेज द मेन सेटिंग. तो एक नाइजीरियन यंग वुमन इज द मेन कैरेक्टर, इफीमेलू. देखो नेम्स बहुत फेमिलियर है विथ चिनुआ अचबी's novels, right? So Ifemelu is a Nigerian young woman who falls in love with a man called Obinze. After that, she moves to United States for study, and there she struggles with racism and idea of black man. तो ऑटोमेटिकली रेसिज्म आते हैं जब अफ्रीकन पीपल कहीं बाहर जाते हैं, स्पेसिफिकली फ्रॉम ट्राइबल कल्चर. So she has gone to the United States, which is mainly dominated by white people. So there she has to face racism, casteism, superstition. तो सब कुछ उनको face करना पड़ा. ठीक है. Now Obinze goes to London. Her lover Obinze goes to London. After some years, Obinze again comes to Nigeria and also comes to know about a blog called Race Tint or Various Observations about American Blacks by a Non-American Black. तो इस ब्लॉग का नाम याद रखना. कभी कभी ऐसे माइनर क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं नॉवेल में, सॉरी आपके एग्जाम में. तो एक ब्लॉग के बारे में उनको पता चलता है। वो ब्लॉग का नाम क्या है? वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टाइटल, रेस्टिंग और वेरियस ऑब्जर्वेशन अबाउट अमेरिकन ब्लैक्स बाय अ नॉन अमेरिकन ब्लैक। एंड फाइनली उनको पता चलता है कि इस ब्लॉग का राइटर कौन है, ब्लॉगर कौन है। ब्लॉगर है इफिमेल। दे टू शेयर देयर एक्सपीरियंसेस। वो अपने एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करते हैं। ओबिन से अपनी बात बताते हैं बिकॉज ही हैज आल्सो सफर्ड फ्रॉम दैट रेशियल प्रेजुडिसेस इन लंदन एंड यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में। ओबिन उनके बिलावेड ने जो देखा है वही बात वो भी शेयर कर रहे हैं इफिमेल। तो ये एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात है। देखो इसमें क्लास conflict and racial conflict Adichie is trying to highlight. Ifemelu is a black woman from Africa, and she has gone to United States for study, and there she has found the condition of the American black people. ठीक है, जो अमेरिका का जो नेटिव पीपल है उसके ऊपर जो टॉर्चर्स होते हैं द रेड इंडियंस, तो उसके बारे में एक नॉन अमेरिकन ब्लैक बात कर रहा है, दैट इज इफिमेलू। बट इफिमेलू हैज आइडेंटिफाइड दैट द फेट्स ऑफ द ब्लैक पीपल, these are all same, whether it is in America or it is in Africa or it is in somewhere else, but the black people are always marginalized irrespective of their country. She has realized that and she has written a blog on that. Finally जब ओबिन से वापस आते तो वो भी अपने एक्सपीरियंस को शेयर करते, and the novel is mainly focused on the experiences shared by both these people. Yes ज्योति, absolutely, हाँ थोड़ा सा ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल टच है जरूर। yes it is Adichie's last novel, absolutely Americana is Adichie's last novel. okay, तो नेक्स्ट वर्क पर हम आते हैं। हाँ ये तो हमने नॉवेल्स की बात कर रही। नाउ वी विल टॉक अबाउट टू टेड टॉक्स। एक स्पीच है, ठीक है, बोथ द स्पीचेस आर अवेलेबल ऑन यूट्यूब, यू कैन लिसन टू इट। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पापड़ी, ब्लैक कॉन्शियसनेस by Paul Gilroy. Yes, absolutely right. Very appropriate term you have used. Black Consciousness by Paul Gilroy. Okay. तो हाँ चलो, तो हम दो टेड टॉक्स के बारे में बात करेंगे। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, डेंजर ऑफ अ सिंगल स्टोरी। बोथ दिस टॉक्स आर अवेलेबल ऑन यूट्यूब। इट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड अदिची ने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है इस क्वेश्चन को, आप सुन सकते हो यूट्यूब में, ठीक है, इट इज अवेलेबल। तो डेंजर ऑफ अ सिंगल स्टोरी पब्लिश्ड इन 2009। अब देखो ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है। इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द एसेंस ऑफ अफ्रीकन नरेटिव। तो उन्होंने क्या बताया है, द डेंजर ऑफ अ सिंगल स्टोरी। इट इज अ टेड टॉक। शी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द अंडर रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ वेरियस कल्चर्स। अंडर रिप्रेजेंटेशन, पीपल मिसअंडरस्टैंड अफ्रीका एज अ सिंगल स्टोरी। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जो आप याद करो कि जोसेफ कॉनराड हैज रिटन द नॉवेल हार्ट ऑफ डार्कनेस, and in response to that Chinua Achebe has written Things Fall Apart. Now what is wrong with Heart of Darkness? According to Chinua Achebe, as an African, he realizes that the presentation of the African black people or the tribal community, it is absolutely biased and it is not so appropriate. रियल अफ्रीका क्या है इसको दिखाने के लिए अचिबी ने लिखा है थिंग्स फॉल अपार्ट। So very importantly, when we read Africa or when we um, analyze African text from European perspective, from Western perspective, then Africa will appear to us as a very insignificant, a dark land, full of ignorant people, uncultured people, uncivilized people. But being an African, Chimamanda Adichie is also saying the same thing, that Africa is not a single country. Africa is not a single entity. If you want to learn about Africa, African culture, then you must enter into varied kind of things. Africa is not a single community. Each and every tribal culture के अलग अलग नियम है, अलग अलग ट्रेडिशन है, अलग अलग रिचुअल्स है। तो हर एक कम्युनिटी का बिलीफ सिस्टम अलग है। अगर आप समझ रहे हो ट्राइबल कल्चर को तो उतना आसान नहीं है। ट्राइबल कल्चर इज नॉट अ लम्प और indiscriminate बोलस, in the words of T.S. Eliot. It is a very living thing, and you must be aware of that thing. It is not a single story. There are multiple stories inside Africa. Africa is not a single landmass. It is composed of varieties of cultures. Adichie is emphasizing that. Yes, very okay, Taba. You have listened it. Yes, it is very beautiful. We should all be feminist. हाँ, वो भी हम बात करेंगे आगे. तो डेंजर ऑफ अ सिंगल स्टोरी को भी सुन लेना. ये बहुत ही ये भी बहुत सुंदर लगेगा सुनने में. People misunderstand Africa as a single story, and Adichie is sharing her own experience. वो बता रहे हैं कि her roommate is surprised seeing her fluency in English. Literally, Adichie is a very good English speaker. अगर आप सुनोगे YouTube में तो you will be mesmerized to see that an African woman, she is speaking English so fluently. तो Adichie explain कर रहे हैं कि my roommate was also surprised कि being an African, you are a tribal girl, how can you speak English, a foreign language, so fluently? तो अदिति ने उसको एग्जाम मतलब एक रिप्लाई की तरफ से वो बता रहे हैं कि माय रूममेट हैड अ सिंगल स्टोरी ऑफ अफ्रीका. ये मैंने कोट किया है उस स्पीच से. अ सिंगल स्टोरी ऑफ कैटास्ट्रॉफी. In this single story, there was no possibility of Africans being similar to her in any way, no possibility of a connection as human equals. तो उनके दोस्त को उन्होंने ये जवाब दिया कि अफ्रीका इज नॉट व्हाट यू थिंक. You have learned a part of Africa which is ignorant, which is uncivilized. ये तो एक मतलब biased belief हो गया. But actually Africa क्या है? Africa is not a land of darkness. It is not heart of darkness. It is full of rich culture. And you must be a very learned person, must be respectful to understand the tribal community and their rules and rituals. So that is why the danger of a single story. Adichie is saying that it is a great danger because different kinds of narration and different kinds of perspectives, these are consciously denied by the colonizers. तो डेलिबरेटली वो ये दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि अफ्रीका में तो कुछ नहीं है, बस हम जो दे रहे हैं वही. तो देखो हमने डिस्कस किया है Achieve as an essayist. We have also discussed the novelist as teacher. We are also Achieve saying the same thing, that it is very dangerous that due to such negligence of African culture, the new generation of Africa, they are also afraid. They are also ashamed to use African word. उन्होंने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया था, याद करो, कि एक स्कूल गोइंग अफ्रीकन बॉय, उसको एक एसे लिखने को कहा गया था ऑन विंटर सीजन. बट एक्चुअली में अफ्रीका में जो विंटर सीजन का सिचुएशन होता है वो होता है एक स्पेशल टाइप ऑफ विंड, दैट इज हरमट्टन. बट हरमट्टन इज एन अफ्रीकन वर्ड एंड द बॉय हैज नॉट यूज्ड हरमट्टन. He has written a stormy weather, but storm and harmattan both are different. तो जब आचिबी ने उनको पूछा कि भाई आप हरमट्टन क्यों नहीं लिखते हो अपने एसे में, बिकॉज यू आर एन अफ्रीकन, यू नो दिस थिंग. तो वो बच्चा रिप्लाई करते हैं कि आई कैन नॉट राइट हरमट्टन बिकॉज अदर स्टूडेंट्स विल लाफ एट मी. If I use slang words, if not slang words, if I use a very common tribal language, then other people, other students will laugh at me. That is why I am avoiding the word harmat. तो यही बात है. It is a dangerous phenomena according to Achibi also. Achibi has also said that it is very dangerous that African people are not trying to preserve their own culture. जिसके वजह से ओकोंको इतना डर गया. ओकोंको has committed suicide. ठीक है. तो Adichie is also saying the same thing, that Africa is not a single story. It is a combination of multiple stories, and you need to uncover that. So that is why danger of a single story. Yes, yes, right, Aktuba. Very, very beautifully spoken. अच्छा. Next हम आते हैं next and last topic, last work of today's class. We should all be feminist, which you have just said. 2014 में it is also a part of TED Talk. Very beautiful. Uh, I will also share with you some important quotation. तो यहाँ पर वो क्या बता रही है? She gives a number of anecdotes to explain what it exactly means to become a feminist. We should all be feminist, Adichie is saying. And what does the term feminist actually mean? Generally, देखो feminist term को in masculine world, in patriarchal society, it is used in a very negative way from the perspective of patriarchal society. हम ये मॉक कर कर कहते हैं कि भाई तू तो बड़ा फेमिनिस्ट बन गया अगर वो प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं अगेंस्ट मैस्कुलिन अगेंस्ट द डोमिनेशन ऑफ masculinity, then we say that you are a great feminist. So it is a kind of mocking term in the eyes of patriarchal society. But Adichie is saying that there is nothing shameful in that. Actually, the problem of gender shapes the identity of women. इस जेंडर नाम की चीज अगर नहीं रहा तो कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बिकॉज हर प्रॉब्लम की जड़ में है जेंडर. ठीक है. एंड आप बहुत मीनिंगफुली ये नोटिस करना, दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, कि जब भी हम कोई जगह में एप्लीकेशन डालते हैं, कोई भी फॉर्म फिलअप करते हैं, आप डिफरेंट एग्जाम्स के फॉर्म फिलअप करते हो, तो नेम्स, फादर्स नेम, मदर्स नेम, उसके बाद जेंडर आता है. ठीक है. मेल, फीमेल, ट्रांसजेंडर, इस टाइप के ऑप्शन आते हैं. तो देखो जेंडर डिफाइन करना बहुत जरूरी हो जाते हैं व्हेन यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर एनी पोस्ट, एनी जॉब, एनी एग्जाम. So why gender? You should write as biological sex because we have already learned the difference between sex and gender. So male and female both are different because of their bodily structure. So it is not gender. It is socially constructed. But कहीं पर भी biological sex नहीं लिखा होता है, हर जगह लिखा होता है gender. ठीक है. So it is a great tool of patriarchal society to mix up the idea of biological sex and gender. But gender is not the thing which we imbibe. Gender is an imposed thing. It is socially constructed. बट हर जगह में देखो जेंडर हमें मेंशन करना होता है, मेल, फीमेल, ट्रांसजेंडर. ये बहुत वैलिड पॉइंट है. तो अब इसी से आदिची एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं कि इट इज अ ग्रेट प्रॉब्लम of gender compels women to speak for their identity. Yes, it is an example of feeling of self inferiority. Psychological colonialism, that is why the tribes of Africa have considered themselves as inferior regarding culture. Yes, absolutely right. तो अब देखो आदिची का ये कोटेशन है, वो स्पीच से मैंने लिया है. आदिची is saying, I am angry. Gender as it functions today is a grave injustice. यही बात है. We should all be angry. We means all women. All the women folk, we should all be angry. Anger has a long history of bringing about positive change. But in addition to being angry, I am also hopeful because I believe in the ability of human beings to make and remake themselves for the better. So simple, beautiful English. Right? देखो कितने आसान तरीके से वो क्लियर कट बात बता रहे कि women must be angry to accept these gender roles. But सिर्फ एंग्री होने से काम नहीं चलेगा, आपको होपफुल भी होना है, बी पॉजिटिव that one day we can change the perspective of the society and women will get equal status like men. अच्छा, एक दूसरे कोटेशन मैंने कोट किया है, दिस इज वेरी ब्यूटीफुल. आई थिंक मेन आर लवली but I don't think that women should relate everything to men. Put a group of women together and the conversation would eventually be about men. बहुत सही बात. Absolutely. But put a group of men together, they will not talk about women at all. Women should spend 20% of her time for men. Very beautifully said by Adichi. Adichi is saying that we give undue importance on men. Why? When a group of women they gossip, eventually the conversation turns to be about men. बट एक जगह में अगर 4-5 मेल पर्सन बैठकर गॉसिप कर रहे तो वो कभी भी कोई भी वुमन के बारे में डिस्कस नहीं करता. तो आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट ऑल मेन आर हार्मफुल फॉर वुमेन बिकॉज इससे तो सोसाइटी ही नहीं चलेगा. बट वीमेन शुड नॉट थिंक दैट विदाउट मेन वी आर नथिंग. तो वीमेन का जो एक इंटरप्रिटेशन है मैंस अदर, इसको छोड़ना है कि our identity is only based on the identity of a man, associated with the identity of a man, wife of someone, daughter of someone, mother of someone. तो हम ऐसे क्यों हमारा आइडेंटिटी को क्लेम करे. Our identity must be individualistic, should not like Mrs. Wife of Mr. A, son, मदर ऑफ जॉन, इस टाइप से क्यों? हमारा हमारा एक पर्सनल आइडेंटिटी है, एक नाम है, तो लोग हमें उस नाम से जानेंगे, ना कि इसके वाइफ, इसके डॉटर, इसके मदर, इसी नाम से. So Adichi is saying that we must accept this thing that men are part of our life, true, but it is not always true that without men we cannot live, even our life has gone futile. This is not true. तो आदित्य देखो एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं कि women should spend 20% of our time for men. Very beautifully said. ठीक है, ओनली 20% टाइम आप दो, बट बाकी जो रिमेनिंग परसेंटेज है, बाकी जो रिमेनिंग 80% है, वो आप अपने खुद के लिए रखो, अपने जिंदगी के लिए रखो. So very beautifully said. Yes, one is not born but rather becomes a woman. Absolutely right. So this is about Adichie, a very revolutionary female writer from Africa. तो इस टेड टॉक्स को आप जरूर सुन लेना, और अगर टाइम मिले तो आदिची के नॉवेल्स को भी आप पढ़ सकते हो. ठीक है. So that is about man is the discourse, man is the creator of the discourse, and women has no place in this discourse. So women always discuss about men, and it indicates that we accept our inferiority or our inferior status. That okay, we are inferior, so we must talk about some superior person. ठीक है. जैसे हम हमेशा डिस्कस करते हैं ग्रेट पीपल के बारे में, जो भी हमारे ग्रेट रिफॉर्मर्स है, ठीक है, उसके बारे में हम डिस्कस करते हैं, जो महापुरुष लोग हैं उसके बारे में हम डिस्कस करते हैं. उसका कारण क्या है? कि वो महान आदमी है और हम बहुत ही छोटे हैं, वी आर जस्ट कॉमन पीपल, so we try to be like them. That is why we discuss the biographies of eminent people. तो ये बात वैसे बन गया कि जब आप एक मेल के बारे में डिस्कस करते हो, तो आपने ये एक्सेप्ट कर लिया कि ओके, मैन आर सुपीरियर, मेन आर सुपीरियर देन आवरसेल्व्स, तो हमें उसी के बारे में बात करना है. वी मस्ट बी लाइक मेन, though we cannot be, but we think that men are our idols and we must be like them. तो ये बात दिमाग में नहीं रखना है अकॉर्डिंग टू अदिति. ठीक है. So that is about Adichi, and that is the end of today's class. Thank you all for joining. This is the link of my Telegram channel. The link is even in the description box. So those of you who have not joined yet, please join to get notification of all important classes. These are the timings of your classes: Monday to Friday at 8:30 p.m., Saturday, Sunday off. So don't forget to join me live. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get notification. Okay, so thank you all. Bye bye everyone. Good night. See you all tomorrow at 8:30 p.m.